So last week we talked about atonement versus avoidance, and your challenge last week was to think about a time when you engage in numbing behavior. So some kind of numbing activity, something that you do, kind of a mindless thing to do that prevents you from feeling a certain way. And, we shared the quote last week from Brene Brown that numbing vulnerability is a problem because when we numb the negative emotions, we're also numbing the positive emotions. So I want to build on that this week and show you this idea. So we've talked before about how you want to get to your hopes and dreams, the things that you desire for your life, and they're good things, and they're things that God wants for you. He wants you to have the things that you desire. But there's something standing in between us and our hopes and dreams, and that's this whole big black mess of our emotional blocks, limiting beliefs, things that we've developed typically often from our past experiences that just make us think that receiving these hopes and dreams is impossible, or that make us believe that maybe God doesn't want us to have it, or we're not worthy of it, or it's too hard, or we're never going to get those things. But in order to receive our hopes and dreams, as I've said, God does desire to give you these blessings. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to have the things you want. But in order to receive those things, in order for you to have the capacity to receive those things and bring them into your life and yourself, first of all, you have to heal the negative emotional blocks that are preventing those things from coming into your life. Healing requires feeling. Healing requires that we confront those negative emotions, because by confronting them, that also gives us the opportunity to have them healed by Jesus Christ, to have them replaced with the positive emotions that we need in order to draw the things we want into our life like a magnet. Healing requires feeling. Last week with talking about numbing and avoidance versus atonement, just wanted to illustrate that this week with this little figure here, that we have two choices. Either we can numb, we can avoid feeling those negative emotions and potentially never receive our hopes and dreams and just kind of keep going on with life the way it is, which, sometimes for many of us is very difficult. Or we have the option of starting to deconstruct this big black cloud here that's standing between us and our hopes and dreams. And one by one, taking a closer look at those emotions and those beliefs and making the conscious choice to turn those things over to Jesus Christ, to surrender them to Jesus Christ, and to ask Him to heal those things, to ask Him to replace fear or anger with love and charity. Or hope and faith, asking Him to take a belief that we have that's not in our best interest and transforming it into a belief that we are worthy and deserving of these beautiful things that we want for our lives. But again, in order to go through this process, healing requires feeling. We have to be willing to at least feel those emotions on a certain level. But what happens is, I think many of us, we're afraid of getting stuck there. We're afraid that if we let ourselves feel that sorrow, that we'll never get out of it. We're afraid if we feel that anger, that it's going to consume us and do damage in our lives. We're afraid to feel the pain because it is so painful and we don't want to feel it anymore. But the problem is, if we aren't willing to feel it at least enough to use our agency to surrender to Jesus Christ, if we just numb it all the time, it's still there. It's still inside our lives, and it's still wreaking havoc because it's preventing us from receiving our hopes and dreams. There's just not room. It's blocking those hopes and dreams from coming into our lives. But when we are willing to feel, and when we trust Jesus Christ enough to feel our emotions and to let them come up, things change. And it's like this bridge, Christ brings in charity to replace all of those negative emotions. He brings in charitable thoughts of love to replace the thoughts of fear. And our hopes and dreams can come to us. We move closer to them, they move closer to us. And that's the beauty of the atonement. But healing does require feeling. So the challenge this week is to think about one of those things that you want in your life. And in January, our lessons were about getting clear on things you want. So think about one of those things. And as you think about receiving that thing, what negative emotions or beliefs come up for you? Just notice this week. Do you feel fear? Do you feel anger? Do you feel unworthy? Do you feel sad? Does it make you feel like you're not good enough? Or if only I was blank, I would receive this thing? Just notice those things, because in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about how to invite in Jesus Christ and his power through his atonement to heal those negative emotions and beliefs.